Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Fighters Rep, and I'm here today at the Shack System with Coach Rusty. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks so much for having me. Not the first time we've interacted. I'm very excited to have had some of your guys on my show. Very tough guys. Very tough guys. We had Jesse Velasquez fight for a belt. Put up a hell of a fight, and we had Albert Fuentes who did the same. Just tell me a little bit about what you're teaching these guys, how these guys were so proficient in there. I was really impressed by their performance. What's going on here? What are you doing to these guys?
I wish I could take credit for everything that these guys are doing, but these guys are some of those kind of guys that just they're mentally strong. They grew up in that lifestyle where it's like you live through something, or you encounter something, or you grow up in that just tough environment that just mentally makes you strong. Jesse, obviously, he's told you guys he's been bullied. That overcoming the bullies, fighting something, competing is something that helped Jesse gain confidence, build mental strong. Albert's been in a war. He's seen people die. He's seen it all, and war is not a place for people who aren't mentally strong. You see people who come back and they're never the same. But those guys are already there. They're good wrestlers, and I just kind of took knives and sharpened them, man. And we just kept sharpening, give them different tools, and just keep working on consistency is key. Making sure these guys are here, working the technique, working the combinations. We're not huge on game plan, but we are big on strategic. Because no game plan I don't think can ever go 100%. But we can try to keep it as close to blueprints as possible. So that's one thing I just do with them, and give them a lot of attention and a lot of I just nurture these guys, man. These guys have tons of talent, and if someone doesn't nurture that talent, these guys can settle for whatever they're doing. Jesse doesn't want to work a desk job. If someone doesn't nurture that talent, he can be a UFC fighter. Maybe if no one nurtures that talent, he may never be that. He may never get that confidence. I heard a good coach tell me one time, he's seen more talented fighters not go pro off of a coach not having that confidence in them and not telling them that they were good enough, where he's seen a quarter of untalented fighters, just tough guys that just the coach says, yeah, man, you're good enough to go pro, and these guys go pro. And some of these guys that are just world-class fighters, they never fight, they never go pro, they never test their skills, and because someone just never told them, the coach never told them that you can do this, you're strong enough, you're good enough, you have the talent to do this, and that's a big thing, and it's a huge thing. So I just try to give them what either I had as a coach, I didn't have as a coach, or as a fighter, or what I needed as a fighter when I was training, try to be that coach that I either didn't have or I did have, and just embody that, give it to them, good role model, I guess, get forward.
So you did fight at some point, tell me a little bit about your experience, how you've kind of incorporated that into the Shack System's lovely facility here and training these guys.
Okay, so if you're from this area like San Gabriel Valley, Azusa, Baldwin Park, Glendora, there used to be a little gym right here called Showdown, and they used to do a lot of sanctioned and unsanctioned Muay Thai. At that time, I didn't really know anybody. My coach wasn't really involved like I try to be with IFS, and I'm sure IFS was going on at that time. But my coach was more involved in smaller events. So I was training for about a year maybe, and then there was this kid that was about 16. His name was Omar. Omar, if you're watching this, come and find me, man. I still want to train with you, brother. I know you could still be a champion. You were that good then, you're that good now. I know it. So if you see this, come find me. He came into the gym one day and he was like, I signed up for a fight. I signed up for a fight. And then I was like, what? And he's like, you gotta sign up. And I was like, dang, I can't not sign up for a fight, you know, a 16-year-old kid, and I've been helping him, you know, so.
Monkey see, monkey do kind of thing.
So we got in there and we fought, and I actually won my first fight, and my coach told me it's gonna be something you like or you don't like from the first 15, 20 seconds, you know, and I didn't mind it. I actually got hit with a really good hook that like knocked my headgear like, wow. And then, but it made me, you know, like this is a fight, you know, this is it. So. I fought a few more fights over there, probably more unsanctioned and sanctioned, stuff that would turn into like pancreation stuff. But I'm honestly one of those people, like I work a lot, like I want to be successful, and I kind of let that like take control of my training. I would work more than I would train. I would just kind of train. I wouldn't compete as much. I would try to compete in jiu-jitsu because I felt like in jiu-jitsu it's like I'm not running as much of a risk as getting punched. Like it's like I get choked out or arm bar. It's not as big of a deal, you know. So it's like I would try to still compete in stuff like that. And then I tell my boys this all the time, like don't chase money, man, because I believe that I actually hurt my back chasing money. Like I have nice things from working hard, but I worked hard for something that I wasn't passionate about, and I believe that's why I am where I am. You know, I chase money. I chase money. I put family things aside, training aside, things that I love, music, to make money. And so, actually, a lot of people don't know because I don't like to. The way I look at it is like nobody really cares about your problems, right? People will say it, but they don't. But so I have 3 herniated discs, some nerve damage, some sciatica, so that's kept me from being really active. Jesse Velasquez is like one of my, it's like a brother to me. Came, asked me to train him, pull me out of bed every day, come and train. He would actually set us up these black mats right here. You can show them right there. These mats right here, we're all in a little garage. And then eventually we got some of these red ones, the black, the blue, and eventually we moved out of the garage and into this. And my garage is actually smaller than this back room right here. But you know, it's not, like I tell these guys, it's not about how big your gym is, how many bags you have, how many kick shields you have. It's all about work ethic. And I've seen talented guys that don't work as hard as some of these guys do, you know. I really believe work ethic and just biting down and just doing what you have to do to go to work here is key. You know, I've seen it a million times. You know,
so dude, speaking of Jesse, man, total beast. Came out to FightersRep 3, took on a guy in Trevor Wells that had, you know, significantly more experience than him. I really, you know, I know Trevor Wells is skilled. That's why, you know, I made that a title fight. I knew he was going to eventually move on and get a state title shot, which he did, and he ended up winning actually over the weekend and turning pro. So I think that's a great barometer for Jesse. What do you think Jesse's ceiling is? Like, he looked great in there, man. What did you think?
Hats off to Trevor. Congratulations, champ. I watched that fight over the weekend. Jesse's ceiling, man, is let's go Empire State Building. It's as high as he wants it to be. I mean, that was only his 5th fight, you know.
Wow,
He went up against somebody who had, I think Trevor has over 11 at that time, 11 fights maybe. That was
it might have been his 12th or 13th,
you know, and one of the best fighters in the state. Hats off to him.
Had a team quest, you know, a whole lot of talent. You know.
Yeah, that's Dan Henderson, right?
Dan Henderson, Smiling Sam Alvey was cornering him.
Just to let Dan Henderson know, we got a little combo. We set up after you. We use it for the Muay Thai events. So we love Dan Henderson. We love everybody who fights. Hats off to Trevor. But like I said, man, Jesse's roof. I mean, after 5 fights, that's where he can go. Yeah. I mean, I really believe it was a small mistake that got him caught. He knew it. He's seen it. It's something he won't do again. And all I know is Trevor's gone now, and so now it's time. Somebody's time to step up.
Yeah.
And like I told Jesse, it's gonna be you, man. He's going on to be professional, so someone else has to come. And I said, and guess what, man? You tested your skill against the best. You know you belong in that top 5.
For sure.
You know, you can take on anybody. You know, so I'm very proud of him. He's one of my first homegrown students. If it wasn't for Jesse Velasquez, we wouldn't be here today, for sure.
Now, Coach Rusty, is anyone running the gym with you, or this is just yours? You're the only one here.
It's my gym, but I tell all the fighters it's ours.
Yeah.
We built it together, but I do run it. Right now, I'm helping teach. His name is Isaac Enriquez. He will be back from his hip, and he will have every strap at 125 in every organization. Trust me, this kid.
MMA?
Anything he wants, him and Jesse are gonna be like the Twin Towers. Right? These guys are nonstop work ethic. They listen. They do what they have to. They're always in the gym. First one's here, last one's to leave. And if you don't know Isaac Enriquez, you watch out for him. You can watch he's on King of the Cage. He will be in FightersRep. He's starting to make his little transition to Muay Thai, so he will have some belts there. So that boy is a monster.
I like to hear that he'll be on FightersRep. I was just going to ask you. You know the doors are open for you guys.
Yes. So if you're 125, 135, you better be working hard for that boy.
You know, if I'm being honest, 125 is kind of thin. That's a division that I've had a little trouble matching recently, because I feel like all the guys that were really advanced are on the verge of going pro. They're looking for different things. So that's kind of a wide open division now. And then since Trevor left, 135, even though I feel like it's more talented at this point, from an amateur standpoint, I feel like that's kind of open too. I wanted to ask you about Jesse at 135. He was a massive 135, or does he have any trouble making weight? Because I felt like he's a big kid at 135.
No, he I believe his cut is pretty easy.
Yeah.
Right here, I'm big on diet. Anybody that knows me knows I eat clean. I cut with my guys. I can show you my stomach right now. I'm fucking ripped right now, and I can't run. I can't ride a bike. I am very limited to the cardio that really gets you sweating
because of your back.
So it's all mostly based on my diet and the conditioning I can do. And I tell these guys, man, if I can cut weight with a back that needs to be surgically repaired and get to that weight cut, you guys should have no problem. And so these guys are all really, really good about their diets. I think Jesse gets maybe like 7 pounds.
Yeah.
When he's like in fight mode. I know he like tends to, after the fight, like he's young, so he wants to eat all his pizza, burgers and stuff like that, which is cool. But I know for a fact, like in the future, like if he wanted to be 125 with the right dietitian, he can definitely make that weight and even dominate at that weight.
Yeah.
If he wanted to.
Well, that's good news, and I might have to reach out to you for some of these weight cutting tips for myself. As far as Albert goes, what weight do you see Albert at? Is he going to stick around where he's at?
No, I'm kind of like cursed with the little man team, which I don't mind. But I have a bunch of guys, 115, 125, 135, 145. I finally got some bigger guys, but I would love to see Albert and Isaac at 125. I believe that's where they belong. They're both only about 5'4", which I believe at 35 they're fighting guys who are a lot bigger, making a lot bigger of a weight cut. Which I mean, they don't mind fighting anybody. That's what I tell these guys. If you're gonna fight, you're gonna fight. Like, we're not really about like, you're gonna choose this guy. I tell these guys, if you want to fight, you're gonna fight. Like, it doesn't matter.
Part of the reason I love your team. And I really, if I can speak on another team that's similar to yours, it would be Team Quest, which is, pretty coincidental considering Jesse and Trevor fought. But part of the reason I love your teams as a promoter, the Shack system and Team Quest, is because you guys will fight anyone. It's almost like you guys understand that this is the amateurs, this is the place to test yourself, and you're also warriors. Like you're down to fight whatever. I mean, kind of talk me along those lines of what makes you guys that way.
Well, I come from an athletic background. I would always say, like wrestling, and then even like my dad's mentality was like, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. You got to test yourself. If you think you do better work, then go out there and prove it. You know, and I tell these guys, don't worry about these guys who pad excuse me, who pad their records. Don't worry about these guys who come from big teams who do get big fights. That's not us. And I tell them all the time, I'm sorry I'm not Rampage Jackson. I'm sorry I'm not
Dan Henderson.
Yeah, you know, I'm sorry I don't get the same fights for you guys, but it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, like whether you fight this guy now, if this is your career, you're gonna fight him sometime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you might as well just get exposed. Learn what you need to learn. You know, learn what you need to work on, because if you pad your record and you go 10-0, one day you're gonna meet a guy who could be 4-5 and just has that experience of everything, and you get mopped up, and then that whole confidence of I'm the king is just wiped out because you padded your record. You fought guys, you pick and chose who you fought. But it's like, man, shoot. I think Jesse said it himself. Yeah. It's all about taking your skill and seeing how good you really are. You know, proving yourself.
There's no real use to beating all the tomato cans. I agree with you on that. And I've seen that so many times where guys, you know, even as a promoter, where guys, you know, had a great record, and they go in there against a tough guy who doesn't have such a great record, and they just get, unfortunately, they get worked, and then you kind of got to rebuild them. Unfortunately, they do kind of fall apart. So I kind of like your strategy. Coach Rusty. Well, I know you interchangeably. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I love your gym. I love your attitude. I love your team. You know, you guys are always welcome at FightersRep. But now it's time for me to take you to breakfast, because I owe you at least that much. Is there anything you want to say before we let you go here? Any news, anything coming up?
I just want to thank you, George, for giving us the opportunity to show who we are. Like I tell these guys, win or lose, you go out there and you perform. It's all about respect. Sometimes people don't remember losses. I always reference Bonner and Forrest Griffin. I said, Stephen Bonner never won a belt. He never really even went on to stay in like the top 5, but people remember that war with him and Forrest Griffin. He's a UFC Hall of Fame. You know, I said people remember good fights. That's what people want to see. No one wants to see a 10-0 guy beat the hell out of a 3-4 guy who, you know, that just doesn't have that experience. And at the end of the day, it's all about performing and testing yourself. And then I would like to thank all of my sponsors. I would like to thank Dr. Kessler over at the OC Fight Doctor in Tustin. If you're ever injured, just maintenance, anything, they do more than just, they do preventative, they do everything. They do car, they do all that stuff. I'd like to thank one of my best friends and brother, Rob over at Puff and Stuff, Chris over at Sickments, my brother Juan at GP Print, the fellas at Cafe Cola, the Toms over at Tamper, and my brother Chris at Striker, and everybody else who's helped us along the way. Thank you guys. It never goes unnoticed, and I'm never ungrateful for all of the help that everybody who's helped us get to where we are has given us. So thank you guys. We love you guys, and we will continue to give you guys action-packed fights and deliver every time we come to show. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Coach Rusty. Now let's go and see if we can do some damage on that 6-pack, brother. All right, man.